Before I begin, I have a lot of very overdue Patreon thank yous to get out of the way, so we're going to start with Miami Theater Guy. It's been a long time, but thank you very much for subscribing on patreon.com/TJOmega. Thank you very much for your support. Now, this is a video I've had in mind for years, really, and it's just more been about getting the nerve to do it than anything else, but I think this is probably the appropriate time given, the last vlog I did, if you saw it. I think there's no better time to explore the secret origins of TJOmega and exactly what brought me to YouTube and doing what I am doing today. It's going to be a bit of a cringe fest. And I'm going to open myself up to a lot of things that I really didn't want to be reminded of. But you know what? Sometimes you do that. I tell people, to really succeed on YouTube, you really can't have any shame or dignity. You just have to leave all that aside and just go for it. Whatever makes people laugh, whatever gets a reaction. So, let's do that, shall we? Let's go explore the history of TJOmega in his infancy as an online entertainer. And that starts with a place called fanfiction.net. Let me get my camera out of the way because, yeah, you need to fully appreciate this. So, the first thing I did to try and entertain the masses on the internet was write fanfiction. And the fanfics I preferred to write were focused on Digimon, specifically two characters, TK and Kari, who were my absolute favorites. I know, before anyone gets any idea, these are all PG-rated stories. Most of them were G-rated, if I'm being completely honest. There was no lemon here. I did not do anything like that. No. I always hated that kind of story. Write them in character. Don't sexualize them. No, I just thought it was just two really sweet characters that I really liked, and I wanted to write stories about them. Where it starts getting cringe is where we start seeing a few other things here. For starters, the name Cyber Dracomon, because it sounded like a Digimon, and it was always supposed to be a character in a story that I never really got to. In the immortal words of Kale, Takari romance first, heroic TK second, everything else last. Kale was like the best TK and Kari writer of them all. Like, I put down here, if you read this, and this is the part I hate. They represent the best in Takari literature. Takari being the ship name between TK and Kari, or Takiru and Hikari. Someone gave me that title. Someone was like the queen of Takari, who I guess that was just what she was proclaimed by the community or something. I never really found out what the hierarchy was, but she saw my stories, loved them, and decided this needs to be the king. And she was a good friend. Like, it wasn't that kind of partnership, but hey, you know what? It was a fun title, and for the community, it's who they knew me as. I had a really weird story where someone had that as their AOL Instant Messenger name, so they tried to give me their account. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that's who you were. No, that's so weird. No, that's not how accounts work. That's really not how accounts work. So yeah, I started off as fanfic writer, and I was generally proud of these back in the day. Like, the sentence structure is actually there. There's cohesive stories. It actually kind of works as far as like storytelling goes. Today, they're probably terrible. I would not want to read through these today and just see how bad I was. A big thing for me was, you see these neofics. This was me trying to come up with twists on common tropes. So that's kind of what made me stand out as far as like writing goes. And I had fanfics under other names. We're not going to get into those. Those, again, also not lemons. Never did anything like that. But you can see, July 15th, 2000, 21 years, I have been trying to entertain the internet in any way, shape, or form that I possibly could. I was still in school when I was writing these. So, we move on from that to another website that's, I wish was in better condition so you could really see it. And it was a website called AceUplink. AceUplink was kind of a robotics website, but it was for, specifically, a game called Robot Arena 2. And I'm trying to, let me see if I can get this a little bit. There you go. I want you to at least see the logo on the Wayback Machine. But the whole idea behind this site was it was a community for Robot Arena 2, which was one of the first kind of like BattleBot style video games to let you play online with other people. The net code was terrible. It lagged most of the time, but you could play it. You could honestly compete with other people. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. That's really where I started using the name Omega. That was what my name was there. I competed in the tournaments. I had the best record. I was #1 ranked. Not, it's the one time where I can brag about video game skill because it was the largest community for the game and I was the #1 ranked competitor for the game. So it's the one game where I'm like, yeah, I was the best. Now, apparently there's still a thriving community that found other ways of playing and circumventing the netcode, which I'm stunned this game still works and is still online somewhere. But yeah, apparently there's like a mini community left. But this is also where I wanted to show you some of the bots that I made. Not that. Sorry, I've never done this before. All right, so move me back up there, and I want to show off Mokushi. This is a series of bots that I was first known for. Very weird and unique in design. He was designed to chop tires off of opponents and get underneath their spinning weapons. So we have the original Mokushi at the top, Mokushi Beta on the right. The center is Mokushi Omega, Mokushi Ultima is what it was. And then on the left was Mokushi Cryotech. I pointed out because you might notice that in the top right, there is a version of the skull logo I've never shown anyone, at least no one for my YouTube channel. That was the original version of the skull. And it's much more angular. It's much more like a Transformers style logo. It looks more like, like a faction sigil because it's all solid edges, solid lines. So that's kind of a cool thing. Like that's kind of where it was. Like I wanted all of my bots to have that. So if you were fighting someone online, you saw that symbol and went, "Oh, that's Omega. Oh, I'm in trouble now." That's what I wanted. So they kind of were like my faction symbols, just like on an Autobot or a Decepticon. Except for me, it was killer robots in a digital space. While we are here and while we are browsing pictures, I will also bring up a webcomic I did once upon a time. Wayback Machine did not have an archive of this one, and this was a site called Random Acts of Insanity. I was a big fan of a webcomic called Bob and George, where he was going to hand draw his own comic strips, but because he was a terrible artist, he started using Mega Man sprites in order to create his comic strips. And I'm sure Bob and George, if I went and searched, is still online, but my website's long gone for this. I do still have the comics left, so you get an idea of what a Mega Man sprite comic was. And this was what I was doing for a while, and this was fun, just to kind of get out my humor and the comedy side of me. There's no real story to it. There's, some creativity. It's where I got a lot of my chops as far as being a sprite editor. This is not a good example. This is not a good example. This is just me crudely drawing, rudimentary geometric shapes just for the sake of, you being able to tell what I'm doing and what everything is. So this was fun. This was fun, and the community was actually cool. AceUplink and this site also had pretty good communities that were really supportive with each other. A lot of people were willing to make and share sprites with each other to get their comics what they needed, which I always thought was super cool. And yeah, this was a lot of fun too. I don't have anywhere where these are archived, so unlike the fanfics, you can't go back and find out how cringe these were. So I did the Mega Man sprite comic thing. And that evolved a little bit further. I was also a wrestling fan at the time. And here's another website the Wayback Machine doesn't have, but they're still up and running in other ways. So I am going to present to you a place called Wrestling News Live. This was a online live radio show back before podcasting was really a thing. They would, there's all my bookmarks. No porn. But you can see it was a wrestling website that did live broadcasts for wrestling shows. And it was so much fun. It was Trey and JSK were the original hosts. and JSK unfortunately passed away in 2007. But while they were on, so good. Like, biting commentary on wrestling. They had access to get a lot of great interviews. Really funny guys and funny antics. Like, they did one show during an entire tornado warning, and we were just kind of joking, like, get off the radio, there's a tornado near you. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. And this is the place that gave me my first shot at actually being an online personality. I was a substitute host for a while when JSK was sick. He took some time off. So they had a backup host, Adam Martin, who still does wrestling stuff all over the internet. But back then, I was doing I did best of shows for them. I did a lot of graphic work. I did a lot of I was the go-to guy outside of the main 3 hosts. So they gave me a shot to host a couple episodes while both of the hosts were indisposed. So it was me and Adam. I was terrible. I was absolutely terrible because I didn't know when to speak. I didn't know how to put myself out. I was super nervous. But it's what gave me my very first taste of being a live entertainer and being a personality of me and not just what I've made. This was also the website where I started using the TJOmega logo you know me for now, the rounded off horned skull. It gets a little bit away from your typical Transformer aesthetic and looks a little more original. It's not the Maximal logo. Oh my god, I was so sick of that. So that was where I kind of got into live and just making myself the production. And that brings us, of course, to the modern day, where my channel is close to 14 years old now, because I started in 2007, technically January 2008, but the first ever video was the custom waspinator, the head pop. Of course, before I even met the man, the very first thing I ever did on YouTube was Scott McNeil related. No shock there, right? See, can I get DMCA'd for watching my own video?
Presenting my very first custom
Oh my
Transformer.
god, it's so... The audio's so bad.
Okay,
Cheapest webcam.
It doesn't look too different from
Cheapest
the normal
webcam ever.
Anniversary release. In fact, it's pretty much identical.
I really just did this so
However,
I could have some proof that I made this custom, because I can't take a photo of it to really appreciate it.
Now let's see what happens when I press the switch.
And we'll see how many frames it lasts for. That's about 6 frames altogether.
Very appropriate. I do believe this is the first custom that actually needs video to appreciate it.
I'm not so sure that's true, but it was kind of cool back in the day to do something that was, very in character and really kind of advanced as far as a custom goes back then. And actually be kind of proud of I actually made this and here's proof that it works. I did get something in the mail today. And this is really the genesis of TJOmega and me wanting to do bad toy reviews. And this is something people have guessed for a long time, but we might as well confirm it because I've had the comparisons made. And it's been a long time since they were made, but they exist. So we are going to actually say it. Yes, my original inspiration was the Angry Video Game Nerd. I was called the Angry Video Game Nerd of toys for quite a while, because, hey, I was doing the exact same shtick. I figured if he could make entertainment out of bad games that he regrets playing, why can't I make entertainment out of all the bad toys I regret buying? That was what Plastic Addict was. It was just me trying to take some aggression out on some buyer's remorse. So, yeah. Maybe this is why I feel like my channel hasn't succeeded, because he has toys and I don't. No one's ever made a TJOmega toy. So that is the path that has led me to today. 21 years of trying to entertain the internet ever since I was a wee child. And it's been a fun ride, and of course I've grown a lot, physically and talent and skill-wise, I would like to say. So now you know the dirty secrets. Now you know what I was. So I undoubtedly expect someone to go dig up those fanfics and remind me of them way too often. And if you find any other part of my past, well, keep it buried for me. I don't know. At this point, I don't know everything I've done online. I'm just hitting the main points. This is some things you don't want to be reminded of.